A body was found lying in a drain, brutally beaten, tortured beyond recognition and left to die. The face had been gnawed by stray dogs and one ear was missing. The victim, Renuka Swamy, an ordinary man, a food delivery worker who had been a devoted fan of South Indian superstar Darshan Tugudeepa. It is hard to imagine how such a horrifying crime could connect to one of the most celebrated actors in the Kannada film industry. But this was no random act of violence. This was murder. In today's documentary, we'll look at how a fan's deep admiration and love turned deadly by taking his life brutally, and asking how a beloved actor could commit such a cruel crime, and the disturbing details behind this shocking case. This case has left an entire country in disbelief. A story where the line between admiration and obsession was crossed, and tragically it cost a man his life. Renuka Swamy worshipped Darshan like a god, following him devotedly like countless other fans. But little did he know that his loyalty would lead to his death. And at the center of this crime, his idol Darshan Tugudeepa. How does a relationship between a fan and their hero turn into such a nightmare? How could someone who lives in the limelight, adored by millions, commit such an unthinkable act? When I first came across this story, it felt unreal, like the kind of twisted plot you would see in a movie. But the more I researched on it, the more disturbing it became, because it was all too real. Keep watching till the end to know the horrifying facts about this chilling case. It was early morning on June 9, 2024, when a food delivery worker was heading to his job in Kamakshipalya, Bengaluru. What started as a normal day for him quickly turned into something that would haunt him forever. Lying in a drain half hidden from view was the lifeless body of a man. His face was severely disfigured, beaten beyond recognition, and parts of it had been eaten by stray dogs. One of his ears was missing, and the rest of his body showed signs of brutal torture. His clothes were bloodied, and the signs of violence were undeniable. The man was Renuka Swamy, though nobody knew his name at that point. At first, the police treated the discovery like any other tragic crime. Unfortunately, in a big city like Bengaluru, cases of murder are not uncommon, and this one seemed to fit the profile of a random act of violence. The body was quickly taken to the hospital for further investigation, but it appeared to be just another grim murder, one that would likely get lost in the endless cases police handle every day. No major media outlets picked up the story. It was just another life lost, another tragedy buried under the weight of everyday news. What is truly heartbreaking here is that Renuka Swamy's only crime was his love for someone, a celebrity he admired more than anything in the world. The thought that his devotion to a film star would be what led to his death is almost too painful to digest. At this point, nobody knew who was responsible for this horrific act. The idea that a famous actor could be involved was unimaginable. Darshan, a beloved figure in South Indian cinema, was still living his life in the public eye, and nobody had any reason to suspect that he had anything to do with this horrifying discovery. All the police had was a body, and no clues as to who had committed this heinous crime. As the investigation into Renuka Swamy's brutal murder progressed, the police began to uncover clues that would turn this case on its head. What initially seemed like a random act of violence soon took a shocking twist. The first hint of something much bigger came when Darshan Tugudeepa's ex-girlfriend, Pavitra Gowda, was questioned by authorities. Pavitra had mentioned Renuka's name in a conversation, and this small detail led the police down a trail they never expected to follow. It was not long before Darshan's name began to surface in whispers among those being interviewed, but nobody could quite believe what they were hearing. The investigation also revealed the involvement of another key figure, Raghavendra, the president of Darshan's fan club. Fan clubs are usually a place for admiration, filled with people who share a common love for their favorite star. However, in this case, the fan club president was more than just a supporter. Raghavendra's close connection to Darshan and his possible role in Renuka's murder became an unsettling part of the story. He knew both Darshan and Renuka personally, which raised even more questions about how deep this conspiracy might go. At this point, The idea that Darshan himself could be connected to such a horrific crime started to feel like more than just a wild theory. Could one of South India's most cherished actors truly be involved in something so sinister? For many of his fans, this possibility was hard to digest. I remember thinking to myself, this cannot be real. How could a star like Darshan, loved by millions, have anything to do with such a tragedy? It was a question that everyone wanted answered, but also feared to ask. Darshan Tugudeepa is not a stranger to controversy. His past has been marked by several troubling incidents that have caused many to raise eyebrows. One significant event occurred in 2011, when he faced serious domestic violence allegations involving his then-wife, Vijayalakshmi. This situation drew a lot of media attention and shocked fans who had always seen him as a charming and lovable star. For a brief period, Darshan was jailed due to these allegations, but the situation took a surprising turn when Vijayalakshmi decided to withdraw her complaint. This decision led to his release, and it seemed as if the matter had been settled quietly. However, this was not the only violent incident associated with Darshan. In 2021, he was involved in a troubling event at a hotel where he allegedly had a confrontation with the staff. These incidents, along with other legal troubles, painted a picture of a man who struggled with anger and aggression. Each time the matters seemed to fade away, brushed under the carpet without any major consequences for Darshan. Fans often forgave him, seeing these incidents as mere blips in an otherwise stellar career. Reflecting on his past, it is hard not to think that there were signs of deeper issues. While many fans continued to support him and celebrate his work, the troubling patterns in his behavior were there for anyone willing to look closely. It is chilling to think that this may have set the stage for the tragic events that followed. When I consider how Darshan's history has unfolded, I cannot help but feel that something was brewing beneath the surface. No one could have predicted that it would escalate to a situation as horrifying as the murder of a fan. It leaves you wondering if those who idolized him missed crucial warning signs that pointed to his troubled nature. Renuka Swamy was a devoted fan of Darshan Tugudeepa, someone who idolized him deeply. Like many fans, he followed his career closely and felt a strong connection to him. However, things changed when Darshan's relationship with Pavitra Gowda came to light in 2020. This revelation stirred public emotions and led to a backlash from some fans who felt betrayed by their star. Vijayalakshmi, Darshan's ex-wife, made several public statements against Pavitra, adding fuel to the fire. Renuka and many other fans joined in, expressing their anger through social media. They trolled Pavitra with aggressive messages, showing just how intense their feelings were. What started as a fandom soon turned into a personal battle, where lines were crossed, and the situation escalated quickly. As tensions grew, Renuka's messages became more aggressive. He felt compelled to defend his idol, and in doing so, he lost sight of the boundaries between admiration and obsession. It is interesting to reflect on how loyalty to a celebrity can sometimes lead people to act in ways that are not just unhealthy, but also dangerous. Fans like Renuka often see their relationship with their idols as personal, leading them to make choices that can spiral out of control. The connection fans feel with their favorite stars can sometimes blind them to reality. This sense of loyalty can create a situation where they see anyone associated with the star as an enemy. It is a complicated dynamic, and in this case it contributed to the tragic events that followed. The intensity of fan loyalty is fascinating, yet it can also lead to dangerous consequences. Renuka's obsession with Darshan Tugudeepa deepened over time, fueled by admiration and the drama surrounding him. As Pavitra Gowda became a target for fan backlash, Renuka's trolling quickly escalated into threats. What started as passionate defense transformed into something much darker, as Renuka felt empowered to express anger and protect his idol at all costs. The situation took a critical turn when Pavitra decided to share these threats with Darshan. This act ignited a dangerous chain of events that no one could have predicted. Instead of finding solace in their relationship, Darshan found himself at the center of a conflict that could lead to serious consequences. It is heartbreaking to think that Renuka likely believed he was defending his idol, acting out of loyalty. Yet he did not see that this path would ultimately lead to his tragic downfall. Looking back, it is clear that Renuka became entangled in a web of his own making. His passion turned toxic, and instead of celebrating his admiration for Darshan, he became a part of a disturbing narrative. This sad outcome serves as a reminder of how easily admiration can twist into obsession, leading individuals to make choices that can have irreversible effects. In the end, Renuka's story is a cautionary tale about the fine line between being a fan and crossing into dangerous territory. A dark plot emerged to lure Renuka Swamy into a trap. It all began when a message was sent to him, suggesting he could meet Darshan and even receive an apology from the star. This promise stirred Renuka's excitement and hope. However, he had no idea that this was merely a bait, set by those who claimed to be fans of Darshan but were driven by a different agenda. Raghavendra, the president of Darshan's fan club, played a central role in this sinister plan. Together with other club members, they kidnapped Renuka, taking him to a secluded location where no one could hear his cries. What happened next was horrific. Renuka was subjected to brutal torture at the hands of those he considered fellow fans. The beatings were relentless, and they went far beyond physical pain. In a truly sickening turn of events, they used electric shocks on sensitive parts of Renuka's body, pushing him to the brink of despair. Such cruelty is unimaginable, especially when one thinks about how Renuka's only crime was his deep admiration for Darshan. He was not an enemy, he was simply a fan who became embroiled in a toxic situation. After committing the heinous act, they discarded his lifeless body in a drain, leaving it hidden from the world. This incident not only shattered Renuka's dreams but also left a dark stain on the very culture of fandom, raising serious questions about boundaries and the consequences of obsession. In a shocking twist, it was alleged that Darshan Tugudeepa attempted to cover up his involvement in Renuka Swamy's murder by paying a significant amount of money. Reports suggest that he offered 55 lakhs to 3 men, hoping they would falsely confess to the crime. This move was meant to divert attention away from him, creating a fabricated story that would make it seem as though he had nothing to do with the horrific act. However, the plan was poorly thought out and ultimately doomed to fail. As the police began their investigation, they quickly noticed inconsistencies in the confessions of these men. During interrogations, details did not match up, and the officers began to connect the dots. The fabric of their false story started to unravel, revealing cracks that pointed directly back to Darshan. This situation served as a harsh reminder that attempts to mislead justice often lead to further consequences. The entire episode left many people feeling disillusioned, as the admiration once felt for a beloved actor turned into a deep sense of betrayal. Fans who once looked up to Darshan found themselves grappling with a reality that was hard to accept. The investigation into Renuka Swamy's murder produced several key pieces of evidence that pointed toward Darshan Tugudeepa's involvement. Phone records became crucial in establishing connections between Darshan and the other individuals linked to the crime. These records indicated that there were multiple communications with Raghavendra, the president of Darshan's fan club, leading up to the murder. The police also traced the vehicles used to transport Renuka's body. Through diligent investigation, they were able to link these vehicles back to Darshan's associates. This connection provided a clear timeline and a sense of how coordinated the actions were surrounding Renuka's abduction and murder. The evidence pointed towards a group that was not only willing to commit such a crime, but was also in a position of influence and power. Reflecting on all this, it becomes evident that this was not just a random act of violence. It was premeditated, planned, and executed by people in power. The calculated nature of the crime leaves many in shock and disbelief. Fans who once celebrated Darshan are now grappling with the reality that their idol is entangled in something so dark. It serves as a painful reminder that not all heroes are what they seem, and admiration can sometimes blind us to the truth. Ultimately, this case leaves us questioning the cost of hero worship. When admiration becomes obsession, the consequences can be deadly. It serves as a reminder that while it is natural to look up to others, there must always be a line between admiration and unhealthy fixation. How we choose to engage with our idols can significantly impact our lives and the lives of those around us. I encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about the relationship between fans and their idols? How can we ensure that our admiration stays healthy? Your opinions matter, so let's talk about it.